Superhero is a short film. It started off more as just a personal script that I wanted to write. I had always wanted to write a story that was based on my mother, kind of a tribute to her. And I just couldn't find the right angle. And one day this idea just kind of popped in my head. I had moved into a new place and my bedroom had been painted red and blue for some reason. And it reminded me of, well, Superman. Just thinking about comic books and with all the comic book movies that were coming out at the time, and just thinking a lot about my mom and everything. And I woke up one morning in this blue and red painted bedroom, and she was on my mind, and it just started, it kind of spawned from there with the whole comic book element. And I sat down and just started writing this first scene, which turned out to be the opening scene in the film.
It's time to go, but do not dread the fears you face are in your head. When darkness wakes, your light will shine and fill.
Celestial is the guardian to Jeremy, and she lives actually in Isabel, his mother's mind, because she started telling him these stories and therefore lives in Jeremy's mind. And it is a book that Jeremy has, and so they tell these stories. And so she comes to life in the form of Isabel for Jeremy.
Tammy is a Wilmington-based actress and acting coach. She had a lot of the same mannerisms and attitude and sort of an innate motherly tone that I don't even think she realized that she had.
I read the script and was really happy to be involved with it. And then knowing Langley's story and how much his mother meant in his life, and doing this in honor of her is a great honor for me to be able to play the mom.
I always said from the minute that I met her, if I ever write a story that involves my mother as a character, it will be Tammy that plays it. Okay, I'm gonna dry my eyes, and then if I can get you guys in, I'm gonna block you.
Sorry, we're holding things up.
I lost my mom when I was still fairly young, and so it was very important to me to be able to tell a story that was factual in the sense that I wasn't betraying her memory and what she actually had to go through.
First of all, the young guy that we have playing Jeremy is a charm of a human being. He's just a sweet little guy. He's a very genuinely caring, sensitive, bright child.
Race came in, and there was just something that he brought to the camera. There was just something about this kid that you wanted to watch. He just looked so childlike and so friendly and warm, and it was exactly what I needed for Jeremy, for the audience to kind of, the audience kind of has to fall in love with Jeremy from the very beginning.
I came on board the superhero for the single word we'll describe it as Langley. That's why, because I always wanted to do something with Langley, and this project kind of worked out in terms of time, and I'm right for the part, the man with the suspenders. So I had the suspenders, so I'm in. I did it for Langley.
Peter has this this gentle side to him that it just comes across so beautifully on camera, and you see this real person all of a sudden come through. He's very natural. He's a director's actor. I was diagnosed with cancer at 11 months. They called my mother, and she had to drive me about two and a half hours north in the snow and ice to get me to the hospital. And I spent the next 2.5 to 3 years in and out of the hospital with chemotherapy and radiation treatments. I was probably about 3.5 when the radiation was able to, I guess, put the cancer cells into remission, and the tumor, from what I understand, just wasn't there one day. It got smaller and smaller as the treatments went on, but the doctors didn't even expect it to just disappear like that. It was a miracle, straight out of the doctor's mouth.
I can just see stopping with the red guys. Oh god, I'm getting tickled. Oh, don't you even get me started.
I want to do something with a lot of simple, clean lines and just showing, like a beautiful wingspan on the mask. And when I came up with that, that's when we started to really get excited and ideas just started bouncing off our heads. And after that, I drew it up and I started sculpting the mask. And after I sculpted it, you have to prepare it for molding, and molding the thing took 6 hours. It's a very long process. And then I had to cast it. That took about 3 days. So I just got it finished this morning, actually, so ready for filming. Even though I have this mask made out of latex, I use a filler called Cabasol, which is pretty much like a ground up fiberglass. And whenever you add it to something that has that's a liquid, it kind of adds air to it, adds a fluffiness, makes it dry faster. It's like a little secret.
It's got epoxy on it.
And they use it in boating a lot.
I could credit all of them as producers, because if it wasn't for each one of those individuals, this film wouldn't exist. I had a really good friend of mine who's a professional stuntman and stunt coordinator. I initially asked him to come on and just help coordinate a couple of the stunts and mainly be there for safety issues. He, I think without meaning to, became such a supportive aspect of the development of it that he really did what a producer's supposed to do, and he helped pull things together. If it wasn't for Dino, I probably would have lost my mind before we even started filming.
Langley's a good friend of mine, and he asked me, early on, a few months back in the spring, he had this project that was very, it meant a lot to him, and I read through it, and it was awesome. It's a very deep story, and it's got a cool effect to it with the comic side of it. I want to work, and I like to work with good people, and he is good people.
We knew going into this project that it was ambitious. I was really surprised with the generosity of people. We set up a profile on a website called Indiegogo.com. That allowed us to kind of show people what it was we were doing. What amazed me the most about this entire production was what you would consider to be the most difficult things to get. They were donated. We actually had some cast and crew who were turning around and handing us money to make sure that the project was finished. That in itself is, to me, what filmmaking is about, is just people coming together for a common goal, and it was really inspiring to me. If one person sees this film, if they just connect to it because they know how this mother or this child is feeling, if it can help them or give them some type of inspiration of I'm not alone in the way I feel, then I did my job, and I did my mom a service.
God is a concept by which we measure our pain. Fantasy, art, and in this case, is a measurement of the pain that's surrounding this little boy, his mom and dad. And they've found a way to elevate the fantastical elements of Celeste and the superhero into a place to protect them from the pain that's surrounding them. How do you like that?